and they're going in the same direction. This is a little bit concerning because remember, they lost that game quite handily. RNG, we can expect them just to take the Jinx for sure here, and we'll see if they opt to prioritize something else this early in the game.
We'll see where RNG are going to go with this one. They don't have to go for the Jinx if they want to prioritize other stuff like the junglers and the supports. They know that Jinx won't be contested, but the alternative, right, is hold your cards close to your chest, play for the counter picks, and so they go for their AD carry.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly, well, if they go the Nautilus, is exactly what they want in game one. And the thing is, what's really valuable, and the reason they pick up the Jinx here, is because that third pick on red side, you can pick something like the Gwen, like the Corki, ban away answers, and put it in a comfortable spot. Now, this is pound for pound the same draft as game one, but that is the change. No Viego, a Jayce instead, and this is a good matchup into the Gwen. So RNG taking the Gwen here would be pretty difficult. Now, they can take a top laner who can answer, but I think there's a range you're happy with into the Jayce. So you could take the Corki here, and that would give you that really strong scaling option, and you could ban away difficult picks to deal with. They are going to go for it. So I expected to see them target things potentially like the Vex, you know, the Victor as well. Could even look towards the jungle bans. Maybe you don't want to deal with that Viego, but for BLG, I think really you can start to ban away top lane picks that Bin would like to take into the Jayce.
See what those top lane picks are going to be, because realistically that Jayce very likely to go to Breed. There is a small opportunity for FoFo to take that mid, but I wouldn't expect it, and it's actually going to be the Victor banned away by RNG, whereas BLG, like you said, likely to focus on the top lane bans, and that Graves taken off the board, despite, you know, the last game Graves really not doing so hot, but with a different matchup, Breed still being set up for success.
Absolutely. And here there's a bit of choice. RNG could ban away a jungler, right? If they really felt like there was something they didn't want BLG to have, they could look towards a mid laner like Vex potentially. But honestly, I feel like with Victor out the way, they're probably feeling pretty comfortable. So they end up going for the Orianna, which is another one of those scaling mages who can trade well into the Corki. So I think those are fine bans. The BLG, they've obviously already banned away the Graves in terms of other top lane picks. You know, I think Jayce is normally fine into things like the Gragas. Normally fine into things like the Camille. I don't think there's anything that really stands out.
Gwen has gone unbanned.
Yeah,
and
but
even
Jayce,
if it's not the greatest matchup,
yeah,
it's still Gwen.
It's still something you might worry about, but I think BLG, that's why they were so confident in this Jayce, because if it is a Gwen from Bin will have a bad time, and we saw the difference between game 1 and game 2 when Breathe had a counter matchup, right? Aurelia makes sense, something that can definitely gap close on a Jayce and make his life hard. So now for RNG, I think you take the priority jungler here, which is Xin Zhao. We've seen it kind of overlooked throughout this series. So good for those front to backs, right? If Aphelios has to hit his Xin Zhao with his ultimate up, it allows your backline to be able to, you know, land significant damage in the meantime.
So Xin Zhao locked in here, and over to the side of BLG to confirm their jungler, and they are going to go for the Rek'Sai once again. And this time taking Vex to the mid lane for FoFo. And this will be the second time that we see FoFo playing Vex on the LPL stage here, and he looks happy about that. He looks over the moon with that lock-in. Over to the side of RNG to see what they want to take up against this Jayce, hovering the Camille currently, and it will be locked.
Yeah, so something that obviously scales well into the matchup. Later on can be a threat that can set up sort of plays, but also decent in that team fight for jumping on the enemy backline. I think the main thing to take away from this is RNG have ended up with a pretty similar comp that they had in that first game. Xin Zhao scales better than the Olaf, but obviously Gwen scales better than the Camille. She's so monstrously broken in team fights, but still very similar in how it wants to win. Get to that late game, be incredibly powerful. But BLG, the big difference, instead of trying to match the scaling, they've gone, right, we want early pressure. Jayce is going to have priority top. We've got the Vex Rek'Sai, which is a really strong duo. And on top of that, if you land a Prey Seeker, you land the ult from Vex, that is a dead target. Guaranteed. So I need to see BLG. We'll see what they can do. I think also for RNG, the Xin Zhao for Wei definitely can have an impact in the early levels. You need to try and mitigate the pressure. Because if we have another performance like game 2 where BLG start to ramp up, they will not stop.
Well, Bin might get caught out right at level 1 here. As Crisp taking an alternate route to try and stop him escaping. Bin will get feared, but Crisp decided to go around, go through the tri-brush, so they won't find anything back of that one. Just a little bit of damage. Will be a reset coming out from Bin. He'll still be able to get to lane on time. In the meantime, though... Yeah, you're absolutely right. Deep vision coming out from Ming.
Yeah, as soon as you go for those top side invade, you signal to the enemy team, right, let's get some vision deep in there. So not only is this ward going to sort of spot them on the red, but typically you just put a ward over the wall and then it'll get swept out, right? So we'll see if they actually manage to track this one on the sweeper. Actually hasn't picked up a sweeper. Normally we see junglers, they throw down a ward, they reset, they pick up a sweeper, and then they can sweep out if there is a ward on top of them. They won't see that, and there's going to be that information going for a while. Yeah,
and
so
Xiaohu, he just wins every lane. The start of every lane, he just goes for a level 1 trade and just wins every time.
You know, I'm going to say Corki level 1 pretty good, honestly, in terms of trading, because, you know, at that point, the enemy only has one ability, and you just pop your E and just do the sustained damage while you're autoing. But I feel like FoFo, once he hits that sort of level 2, level 3 point, sort of trade back a bit more. But the big thing for me is watching what WeiWei does in this early game. RNG did a great job in game 1 of tracking the enemy jungler. They need to do that and more in this one.
Yeah, they certainly will, because if WeiWei can take control of the game once again on this right side, it's going to get real scary as Gala and Ming find the level 2 spike. They go for the all-in crisp, forced to flash already, and Doggo being chased out of the lane as well. Ming waiting on that cooldown on the dredge line. It's not going to come up in time, but hey, look, they got a summoner out from the enemy bot lane. They've got control of this bottom lane matchup as well. Feels really good for RNG.
Yeah, big advantage. You saw once Gala has equal tempo up, you can just keep firing those. With Xiaohu may be in trouble. Great Valkyrie.
Yeah, we'll get out to safety, and that's the power of this Corki pick in the mid lane as well. You're always so safe to be able to just keep on playing aggressive, keep on trying to get that poke down. Up in the top side, though, Bin is going to have a hard time. Even though they picked this Camille into the Jayce, like, this is never going to be a fun matchup. But Wei could maybe change that. The ward timed out just as he walked over it. So, unfortunately, will be spotted. Won't be able to make the fight.
Yeah, and that ward's now going to actually get spotted by the scrying plant. So WeiWei can just go over and clear that. Make sure Breathe is comfortable to push it. But actually, he's getting engaged on.
Don't look that comfortable to me, because Bin slows him down. Wei looks for the wind, becomes lightning, finds it, flashes after him, and Breathe surely goes down first blood, but the knock up to answer, and WeiWei gets 300 gold of his own. So a 1-for-1 in the top side.
Yeah, I think, honestly, RNG can still be kind of happy with that, right? They got the first blood, which is worth a bit more. So I think they can take that one. And on top of that, WeiWei burnt his flash. And I know everyone burnt their flash in this top side sort of play. But as I was saying last game, Rek'Sai's flash is so much more valuable because there's so many situations where a gank is shaped by being able to close that distance, right? I've seen so many times where Rek'Sai is like inches from knocking up the target. Can't close the gap, and Flash can change that. Now he will steal away the big Raptor and then back off, but Bin looking for more.
Yeah, remember, Breathe has no flash, so if Bin does find a good all-in opportunity, he will have a big damage to lay down onto that Jayce. And it's worth mentioning that Bin, bit of a Camille aficionado. This is one of the picks that we know Bin for. So when he finds those angles of opportunity, you know that he will execute on that music.
I think that's the thing that makes it scary, right? If Bin ends up overextended, he has the hook shot to get out of sticky situations. Breathe doesn't have that same safety, doesn't have that same tool. He isn't running the phase rush, which we not really this matchup is where we see it, but we occasionally see Jayce run phase rush, so you can go for a bursty trade and run away into the graves in particular, I think is where it's run. But here, he literally can only just run out, and Wei is going to look for a gank here. Easy setup for the Camille.
Feels like Breathe knows something's up. The way he's positioning, it feels like he knows that there's a very real possibility of this, but steps too far forward, stunned up, and immediately has to try and path the wrong way through the jungle. He just wants a way out, but he's forced into a 1v1 against a level 5 Camille. Ultimately, there is no winning this situation now for Breathe. It's just about surviving as long as he can, wasting time from Wei as he moves towards the tier 2. Can he get an execute? I feel like the corrupting... Wait, there's no corrupting pot. This will be an execute. No, it's not.
Oh, you just mistimed it slightly.
I was so excited.
It must have been so close there, honestly, to be able to get it, but just quite not able to do so. But still, you know, as much as it's not a great scenario for Breathe, he wasted a lot of time, and we saw on the other side, WeiWei applying that pressure, allowing for a couple of plays to get picked up. But look at the wave top. This wave gonna end up just getting murdered from the side of Breathe, right? A lot of minions dying because it's stacked up, and he doesn't have a TP. I have to walk up there.
2v2 at the bottom side now. Ming forced to flash away, but Gala answering with big damage onto Crisp. So he's not willing to just let this one go down without a fight. All things considered, relatively even in this bottom side. Once Gala sweeps up this wave, the CS difference will be very minute between the two bottom laners. So relatively even down there. Drake is up onto the map and Herald up in a couple of minutes as well, and it feels like that's when this game is going to start to speed up, stop being about lane differences, start becoming about team differences.
Absolutely, and we got to look at Xiaohu, and when he opts to pick up the package, we often, well, obviously for the first Herald is a major one, and they used it very effectively to capitalize on it. So they expected to see the same. And honestly, Bin has been expertly handling this wave. Like, this is like deja vu. This wave has been in this position for the past however long. He now has the ultimate available. He has a level advantage on Breathe. Breathe can't walk up, and WeiWei's on the other side of the map, so he has no assistance. And as long as this wave stays frozen, he's just screwed.
Yeah, he's gone for the Gromp. It's the only option for him at this point, but ultimately it takes a long time to do that Gromp. In the meantime, Bin, he's relaxing. He's got his feet up, or his scissors up. I don't know what you say for Camille, but he's just going to slowly but surely CS these, and look at that lead that he's building. 15 CS currently, and that's only going to go further up. WeiWei, at least we'll get a Drake to the side of BLG, but that top side is feeling brutal.
And Jayce is this sort of champion where he can be so impactful, monstrously fed, take over a game, or feel pretty underwhelming, right? Very item reliant, and being behind like this, not favorable. The freeze will finally naturally break. And I feel like maybe you could have seen RNG look to lead that towards a dive, but Herald in 30 seconds, right? There's a big slow stack. Breathe will have to catch this wave. They could look to lean towards the Herald on that timing. It doesn't look like RNG are really in position to capitalize, right? Wei is pretty far away, but Chris will make the moves, will be on that top side, secure his top lane. Actually, as I say that, he just walks off, right? He's not interested. He's like, nah, bro, you're on your own.
Yeah, WeiWei is at least here. They were worried about the potential of it. Breathe should be able to sweep up that wave, which will, you know, the 30 CS lead is slightly inflated because Breathe will be able to catch a lot of that CS, so should minimize that, but even still, it's going to be at least 20 CS, and more crucially, the experience lead, right? Level 6 versus level 7 up in that top side. Bin really, really huge, and when it comes to the skirmishes over Drakes, over Rift Heralds, that's where we're going to see that top lane difference really matter.
Absolutely, and as the game goes on as well, Camille is really strong on the side lane. Pretty powerful in team fights as well, and this is just the strength of RNG, right? They're equal in gold because we've seen advantages picked up by the bot side for BLG, but being equal with RNG isn't enough when you go on the later stages. Especially, it's not even like game one where it's difficult to fight because the range disadvantage. BLG's comp just doesn't hold up that well into RNG later. They really need to execute extremely well to win late game team fights. So I think they need to make things happen. For now, Wei's just going to start the Herald, but in return, BLG are looking to threaten a dive.
Once again, this Aphelios against the plates is scary, but Ming, the target for the time being, he's just going to lock everyone up underneath the tower. Looks like he'll go down eventually with the Void Rush. Doggo getting the credit. But WeiWei's tanking the tower, and he will go down. Oh, Gala goes 1 for 1 here. And that, I mean, that's as bad as it, well, it's not as bad as it could have gone. It could have gone worse as the rocket comes through. But still, RNG finding a kill there, that's bad news for BLG.
And the thing is, look top right. We've seen the Herald picked up. Breathe hasn't farmed in like the past 30, 40, like minute or two. And they're going to get plates on plates on plates and get this tower. It's a disaster for BLG. Absolute disaster because they botched that dive.
And especially for Breathe, man, I feel bad for Breathe in this kind of
He's
situation.
like, guys,
this game is unplayable.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do? He's 30 CS down, he's lost all 5 plates, and now Bin, he can go where he likes on the map as well. He has freedom from this top side.
You know, I'm going to say, it isn't Xiaohu in the top lane anymore, but Wei is definitely experienced at camping top and making sure his top laner gets ahead. Nothing really amiss in this situation. Look at that replay. And I think the big mistake, so what's good from Crisp is he actually doesn't take aggro here. Oh, no, wait. No, it doesn't take aggro here. He kind of saves it, so he's not taking tower hits, I think. Does he?
Yeah. No, he was taking tower hits.
Okay. So ramping up. Okay, I just completely misread that then. I felt like he wasn't taking them. I guess Leona's invincible, but WeiWei ults and then gets aggro after the ult. That is the mistake. Honestly, I feel like what they could have done is they could have just not taken aggro, right? And just let Nautilus burn all his CC and then gone in, use the Rek'Sai ult to reset. So a little bit mismanaged, but yeah, you're correct. He did take aggro. Just Leona is invincible. What a champion.
Yeah, she's a little bit tough, I think is the nicest way I could say that one. He's breathing, just desperately trying to sweep up any of these minions underneath this tower. Look how far up Bin is. We're only 11 minutes in, and Bin is threatened. He's happy to go for a little mini tower dive, get a bit of damage onto Breathe, use that passive shield as FoFo moves up to the top side. Shadow Surge. I don't think it quite connected. I think it was out of range. The Fear going to come down. Bin in trouble. The Ignite ticking, but it's not going to be enough. And Bin walks away.
Yep, Bin's just going to be able to walk that one off. I like these plays coming out where you go and like lean in the side lane, look to punish the split pusher, but FoFo bins everything, right? And they don't even get bin splashed. A little bit unfortunate on that regard. And you can start to see that BLG feeling a bit more desperate, feeling like they have to force things, particularly around this Camille. I will say though, Breeze be able to pick up a fair amount of CS just in the past couple of turn of plays. Like he had a significant disadvantage and he's now actually just ahead by one farm. Now, Bin will be able to pick up this wave, but even so, they're making the best of a bad situation. Still 1,000 gold down, but able to close that CS distance.
It's like he's managed to even up the CS. I mean, it's granted 1,000 gold down individually at the top side. It's not ideal, but hey, we take small wins in this kind of situation for that top lane. Just 1,000 gold lead in favor of RNG, but BLG once again controlling the bottom side of the map. We'll be able to get the Drake. It's a late teleport down on the bottom side, and it's 3v3 to start this fight off. Chris pulled back in, but he has to stopwatch his weight, getting onto Doggo. FoFo behind the play here, but it's going to be Crisp to go down to start things off. Gala getting the resets, getting excited. Fear from FoFo, but he's locked up in the middle of everyone. Health bar's low for RNG, but it just won't matter as Doggo is free-firing the whole time. It is going to be Breathe escaping with his life. And that's all he'll escape with.
Yeah, pretty big team fight win for RNG, and they're looking for more.
Do you want to try and find that ultimate coming on down? It will be WeiWei full. So another little bonus pick off for RNG. That makes it 3 kills across the whole fight. What was very, very close didn't feel close anymore.
Able to get the ramping resets, and this is kind of the power of that 5v5 from RNG, right? When they have the front to back, super comfortable in those situations. They've got the Xin Zhao on the front line. You can just soak so much damage, but Bin, they might be looking for him here. I'm not sure, honestly, how easy this is going to be to pull off.
Yeah, he has his jump available. Doggo trying to go for this one. The hook shot, the wall dive back in as they re-engage. Xiaohu is here and they want the 2v2. Crisp trying to keep himself alive with the heal coming out from Doggo, but Crisp will fall. One more auto and Ming is behind enemy lines. They're not going to pull the trigger. I'm a little surprised. No TPs up available for BLG, but RNG play it safe.
I think they see FoFo moving down and they're scared. That's such a long range engage from the Vex. They don't want to potentially risk it. But at the end of the day, they turn the play around, they get the kill. And we will get a replay of that team fight. So this is BLG. They're getting the dragon. They really don't need a fight, right? They're engaged on the Nautilus, not the best target. And again, Wei goes in, Crescent Guard blocks the ultimate from Doggo. And as much as he gets bursted out by the Jayce, he's able to survive for such a long time and soak so much damage. And then they find the momentum. Jinx starting to get resets, lethal tempo stacked. So easy to run down BLG.
Yeah, beautifully done. And that blast cone actually knocks Bin out of the fight there. That's a little interesting coming out, as I didn't quite see who was able to hit that one in the super slow-mo, but yeah, definitely a messy fight. And RNG coming out on top of it ultimately. 3,500 gold lead, but BLG, they're spotted. It's a disaster. I like the attempt. I like the gumption, but it's not good.
Yeah, and this is kind of the vibe this game has now, is that BLG kind of have to go for those numbers advantage pick plays, kind of the cheesy ones, because 3,000 gold disadvantage, we're starting to feel like some of the picks are falling off, right? Already the Rek'Sai isn't going to feel as impactful as the Xin Zhao. Xiaohu's just at level 11 on this Corki, where he gets a big spike because there's increased damage from the rockets. It's not looking good for BLG, right? They're definitely still in with a chance. And I think one thing to think about is when it comes to team fight is the win con's a little bit different. Because BLG just want to dive onto the enemy backline, whereas RNG prefer a front to back where they're moving forward. So if we see FoFo land a big ultimate onto, say, Xiaohu Gala, there's still a win con, right? As long as the goal isn't too different, but it definitely becomes harder and harder and harder. And with Wei picking up this Herald, it just feels like things are getting a bit desperate for BLG.
Honestly, across the course of this series, it's felt like the difference is just experience working as a team, right? You can kind of tell that BLG is a new squad working together, whereas RNG, aside from Bin, this is the same squad from last year. This is the squad that won LSI. Like this is a very experienced team working together, whereas for BLG it feels like a lot of very, very strong individual pieces, but not necessarily all on the same page. Not necessarily having that depth of strategy available to them. The RNG already have a full playbook of, you know, like when it comes to things like this Rek'Sai pick, it feels like this was the secret weapon they will bring into this series, and it worked once. It doesn't feel like it's worked again, and it doesn't feel like BLG have that much more in the tank.
Yeah, and I think the problem is as well is that RNG, you know, they only really changed one player. Yes, Xiaohu moved position, so it's technically two changing, but they still keep that voice in the team, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like as a result, the main thing is if they changed Wei or Ming, or even Xiaohu, because he is a vocal player, I feel like that could have had such a massive effect and maybe taken longer to ramp up. But I feel like you keep so much of the core identity there, and you can see in the decision making in that game one and in this game as well, really still that refined RNG we expect to see. Now, would you see BLG looking to apply some pressure mid? Remember, Dragon in 20 seconds, it would be the third for BLG, and they will deliver a result with this first tower. RNG, first tower in the mid lane for them. RNG is sort of spreading pressure in the side lanes. I feel like they should be contesting this, and with the package coming in, you expect them to do so.
So Bin's TP is about to come available. I'm not especially sure on the timing on that one, but you'd think it'll be available for Dragon fight. BLG not gonna
piece it.
They're
not interested. They hear the package noise and they're like, nah, we're gone, we're out of here. They hear the sirens, so they're just not interested at all.
They're imitating Xiaohu at the end of that last game. TPZ is like, nah, I'm good. I'm good on that one. And I understand the respect, though. I really do.
The problem is, right, do I think that they would have won that fight? Probably not. But do I think it suddenly gets better in 5 minutes' time? He's still going to have the package, right? Maybe we kind of saw that, you know, in game one. They did wait for a mistake or window to punish. And maybe that's it, right? They just bring Gala's flash. That means next Dragon fight, if it's a fight on the Dragon timer, he won't have it for like 15 seconds. So maybe that's the thought process. If we extend the game, if we don't go for a fight now and throw it, we'll get more opportunities later for RNG to make a mistake. That's kind of how they got the Baron in game one. But I've got to say, it kind of feels bad, right? Because you now know that the earliest that BLG could get an Infernal Soul is like 28 minutes, very late in the game. RNG just continuing to scale. You got Corki almost with the Manamune stacked, almost with the Ludens as well. Jinx approaching that second item. Gonna have the rapid fire cannon.
You can just remember what happened in game number one. The exact same game is happening before our eyes. Super slow early game, Corki and Jinx. Lots and lots of... The only difference has been is on Camille instead of Gwen. Still got scissors. Like, is there that big of a difference? I'm not sure.
Well, it's Xin instead of Olaf, which is honestly even worse. Like, I'd rather the enemy team have an Olaf than a Xin in the late game.
Yeah, this feels very, very difficult for BLG, just anecdotally thinking about game number one of the series. So, RNG, everything in their pockets right now. Look at that goal difference in the top lane. 1,500 individual difference between the top laners. That is really difficult for Breathe to ever have an impact in the side lanes again, as Ming and Wei looking for a pick in the jungle and buying space for Bin to just crash a massive wave onto an inhib tower. And if BLG don't react, he could just commit to trying to force an inhib tower down here, because he takes towers real quick. Yeah, and nobody's moving over.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to fish for a play mid, right? They saw RNG's backline overextending a bit. They're trying to find an opportunity, but RNG respect that, back away, don't overcommit to the tower. And it means, yeah, they get that tower bot lane, they crash that massive wave. RNG playing it safe and not overstepping, which is important. BLG, this is kind of why they didn't go for the last Dragon fight. They are fishing for mistakes, and RNG aren't giving them anything to work with.
Yeah. I mean, again, decent effort from BLG, right? They had already lost the bot tier 2, so it's not like they lost a big objective off the back of that play. And again, as you say, fishing for opportunities, trying to find a way back into the game. And that's one thing we can praise for BLG, and honestly for RNG last game as well, as it feels like these teams acknowledge when they're behind, when they're not winning the scaling war, and they do try and make things happen. But the problem is, their opponents also know what's going on. They also know that they're trying to find that play, and so play extra safe to make sure that they're okay. And it means that we get one of these games where it is a bit of a stalemate in the mid game, right? There's not that much going on. And I know a lot of people in chat, you're watching the LPL, you want it just to be a bloodbath every game. But it's good that we get a variety. It's good that the top teams in the league, these teams with such exceptional talent are playing intelligently and don't necessarily just flip Baron every single game.
Well, especially in this meta as well. I think this meta is where you want them to be very proactive, very aggressive. But in this meta, if every LPL team was just playing super aggro, I'd be a little bit concerned, right? Because there are picks, you know, like RNG's composition, you don't really need to make things happen too early in the game. But they still have been proactive, right? They've made sure that the Jayce wasn't a big issue. They've made sure they've got accrued these leads. And I think BLG as well know one big team fight loss and this game is pretty much over. So they are making sure whichever team fight they do end up taking is worth it, right? Gives them the best odds possible. And that's the thing you always have to think about in a game, is think of it like a percentage chance to win, right? BLG's percentage chance to win if they play this game out probably pretty low based on the comps, but they might find a moment that gives them a big potential opportunity, and that's their way back in.
Very, very close one from Ming. I like the attempt trying to get onto Doggo there, but doesn't quite find his target. And for the time being, FoFo just going to play out the side lanes, but it means that RNG can move into this mid lane, clear that tower. Drake coming up in 40 seconds once again. And with RNG already having complete control of the bottom side of the map, feels like they're the ones that'll be in control for this Drake and BLG. This composition from theirs, it feels like Crisp has to be the one to face check, right? But it doesn't feel like he's necessarily going to be able to survive if he face checks.
Yeah. And the problem is, like, what RNG are doing, and what they should do, is you sweep out the vision really deep. So you have to face check multiple brushes. And imagine every brush is a Corki rocket that's going to hit you. It's like, okay, we checked this one. It's okay, but we took a Corki rocket. By the time you get to the dragon, you're dead. So it's not exactly a great scenario to be in. Xiaohu picks up the package. BLG don't even bother. They're not interested. It's kind of fortunate they got those early 2 dragons, so they're not as concerned. Otherwise, if RNG had got them, it would be Soul at this point. But even so, BLG kind of just feel like they're holding on for a miracle.
Yeah. And, well, doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. There's the Drake taken down by RNG. And if they want to, they could try and set up some control around the Baron pit instead. I'm not sure that they want to, though, because, again, they don't need to risk anything. They don't need to flip a Baron. They don't need to put extra pressure on themselves because, realistically, they're scaling. They're fine. They're playing for range later on in the game. The onus is on BLG to find some kind of opportunity. But, again, feel very positive for them. And it's starting to get to this point where, Aux, I feel like we're getting to a stage where the meta is quote-unquote somewhat solved, where we're seeing these teams that have just gone like, okay, we lock in Jinx, we lock in Corki, we're good. The game's over. We've got range champions. It's a done.
I'm happy to say, Joe, don't you worry, because 12.3 patch coming up that we might see after the Chinese New Year, they change everything. So if you're worried about the meta being solved, you won't have to worry for long.
Well, that's good news. I'd like to hear that. I mean, I already knew that, but for the sake of this one game,
shit. You know what? I think there's certain picks that just become so hard to deal with. I feel like there's a lot of priority on this Aphelios in the LPL as a good lane answer to the Jinx, but when it's like Corki and Jinx, such a problem later on, and now they will blue trinket this. They have to approach it. This is going very fast. This could be the window for BLG, though.
Down, Wei can maybe just finish this one off. Shadow Surge goes wide as well. That's going to be Baron for RNG. They just take it. Like candy from a baby. BLG just watch it go down. And I mean, Ming doing a good job of zoning everyone.
Fight, right? That's all I'm going to say there.
I mean, you're from Newcastle. That's a very different breed up there.
Yeah. I mean, I think the setup's good from RNG. We did talk about sort of establishing the control that was fairly deep. But also, critically, FoFo was the one with the biggest gap closer, right? You saw him fire his ultimate in. Gala actually flashing it, because if it connects, that's just a route for FoFo to gap close. Ultimately, the DPS is there for RNG. They're able to secure it, and now things are looking pretty rough. Xiaohu even picking up a QSS, and look at the stopwatches, right? 3 stopwatches for RNG. I said one of the big win conditions for BLG is a backline dive. They really hinder that, really make it difficult. Now RNG can start pushing up. Xiaohu's going to join them, but they are going to try and establish control of the area. They don't want to risk flanks coming in.
Certainly don't. Complete control for RNG, playing this one slow and safe. And BLG, I mean, we've just been talking about how they need to make a miracle play. They need to find some angle. The fact that they don't even contest
my God.
damage. Xiaohu onto FoFo there. I mean, we saw the percentages at the start of the game, right? And it was like 55% favor of Corki. You can understand why. Unless Corki severely misplays, it feels like Vex never really has an opportunity to close that gap and we'll just get poked out. We're seeing it before these fights. Xiaohu just hammering away. There's only one tier 2 remaining on the map for the side of BLG. And with this Baron, another minute and 20 to work with. It feels like that will be very easily swept up by the side of RNG. They can reset if they want to go get some extra items before finishing this one off. They'd have time to reset and still do a bit of damage. But Xiaohu moves in with the Baron up wave. This will be the tower taken down. Solar Flare, good attempt from Crisp, but it's not going to connect. And it means that is all 3 tier 2s taken. And now Bin starts to pressure at the bottom side. And it just feels like this is unrelenting. Aux. RNG will not give BLG a single minute of breathing.
They refuse to fight them, right? RNG refused to fight BLG because why would they fight when they can just win without doing so? Just poke them down, prod them, take their objectives, take their structures. And BLG keep waiting for this moment, this opportunity, keep fishing. We saw the solar flare from Chris, but it's like, you know, when they didn't fight that dragon, I said, fair enough. Maybe they're waiting for a better opportunity. That was a long time ago, right? About 10 minutes ago now. And we're still waiting for that opportunity, right? Gala has lost his flash twice in the last 10 minutes. Hasn't died though. And it just feels like BLG are still waiting for the window. And they're just getting outscaled more and more as time goes on. I'm getting pretty worried, right? I just want to see them go for something sometime soon. Just try, right? Worst case scenario, you lose. And you know what? You're already losing. So how much worse can it get? Just go for an engage. Try and find someone, pick them off. That's actually a really nice ult from Gala. Stops the reset from WeiWei. So I guess that's just a free dragon for RNG.
Okay, nice one from Gala there. Just using the rocket to stop. I said that he was trying to make his own identity with this Jinx. This rocket is not a tool for damage. It stops resets, it scouts out, it pokes. Like, this is not the way that you think about it.
Right? If you're firing the rocket off cooldown, it's higher DPM. That's the strategy.
When you think about, like, LPL Ezreals, like you think of players like Uzi, for example, they would just ult on cooldown for waves around the map. When you think in like 2016, 2017, I remember at international events, you'd see them just ulting every single wave to get farm from the mid lane and the top lane. Feels like Gala taking a similar route here, but with the Jinx rocket instead.
Yeah, and I mean, at least that one had some tactical use, right? Because there was stuff in the recall. Normally, it's just a bit of poke, right? But honestly, this game's feeling rough. I feel like we've hit all the points we can. It's just on BLG. Oh, make something happen. Make something happen.
For like 20 minutes. I just want to see them fight, man.
Just go for something, man. I feel so bad for Chris. He's like, I got the Leona. Can we fight? No. Can we fight? No. He throws a solar flare down. The team are like, nah, we ain't going in on that. Didn't connect. And it's just, he's just... Think how many ultimates BLG have just sat on, like, for such a long time that they haven't been able to use. It's so painful. And at this point, Xiaohu, really strong. Gonna start throwing out the poke. Something, anything at some point in this game, please.
There we go. That was a bit of poke and breathe. You love to see it. There's an auto attack. There's a gravitum. This is the opportunity. Chris goes in. He's already one shot though, but Ming has a stopwatch to keep himself alive. Gala, Void Rush from WeiWei could be an opportunity.
That went pretty good.
He's still surviving. Another gravitum, but damage block. Shadow Surge just goes wide.
And RNG, no one dies.
They survive. They get away with it. That's... Oh, I mean, this is the heartbreaking for BLG, isn't it?
You know what's the worst thing? You know what's the worst thing about that? Look at the summoners on the side of RNG. They got Wei's flash. Right?
Hey, they got Ming's Ignite.
True, right? But like the hope there is you get like someone's flash, and then next fight you have that advantage, but you got the Xin Zhao's flash, which you don't really care about. Yeah, so even worse, right? But like we got some good poke here, and honestly, it's just a great job from RNG disengaging and not getting connected on by the Vex, right? Ming gets bursted so hard.
No! Oh, BLG!
That's not good.
Not
That's
like
5
this.
seconds on Baron, and they don't have a jungler.
Oh, but... no. We didn't even see what happened.
Camille ulted him.
Yeah. 1-3-1 Rek'Sai. This WeiWei is not it, I'm afraid. I don't know what it is, but this aim.
This is not the way. And FoFo has no ult. They can't even contest.
That's going to be Baron taken by RNG. A comfortable lead now. And, well, 10,000 gold up with the Baron. Bin's just going to charge into the base and basically one-shot the tower because he's Camille. And that's what Camille does. The Fear going to do a little bit of damage, but Bin is actually completely fine because he's playing Camille. So he'll get away. Dredge line onto the wall as well means that Ming is safe. BLG, they get nothing.
Again. BLG get nothing again. And again, oh, we get the replay. Let's see what happened. Okay. So here, WeiWei made this critical error in that he existed. And RNG, or Bin in particular, took issue with that and ended his existence. So,
yeah.
Bit of a rough one. We can see the items coming in. I like to refer to them as several for the side of RNG with a pretty significant 10,000 gold lead on the dot. Now, BLG trying to fish for something mid, maybe.
I mean, let's be honest as well. This is not the first time that we've seen Bin make this kind of decision, right? When he gets offended by someone's existence. I mean, G2 were first party to feeling Bin removing their existence. And it feels like, oh, this Camille doing well against BLG as well. But now, again, trying to stop the reset. God, what are these ults?
It's the rockets per minute, okay? He's trying to maximize his RPM.
Okay, right, time to push down the bottom side. Hey, BLG managing to burn Gala's ult before the fight. You'd love to see it. Very smart play from them. Here we go, FoFo, Fear onto 4 people. It's 1-for-1 start though. FoFo can't even drop a Zhonya's. He doesn't even have one. Had a stopwatch, but doesn't use it. And now 3 versus 4 as the dive continues. Chris trying to stop that breathe. Almost one shot there. Xiaohu jumps in to finish the job. And it's 3 coming through for Bin as he cuts them to pieces. BLG left wondering what on earth happened in this series. And RNG looking dominant, looking like one of, if not the best team in the LPL.
Yep, there was no RNG there because they didn't leave anything to chance. Very clinical finish out of that game. And honestly, a frustrating game for BLG. It just felt like they never found the window. They passed up objectives to wait for the opportunity, and it never came. Slow and steady, death by 1,000 cuts. RNG close it out, winning the Spring Gala 2-1.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It's not even death by 1,000 cuts. It's death by 1,000 rockets, and that's not including Corki. That was just from Gala. RNG. I mean, a phenomenal performance.